Hello, happy Sunday. I'm Jonette Crowley, grandmother Jonette, and this is our March consciousness update. So what I do is look at what's happening, not astrologically, because I'm not an astrologer, but really in the big picture of consciousness. And the theme we picked today is the consciousness of war. And what we see, even before this Ukrainian conflict in Europe, um, just a second, I need to make sure everyone's muted. Aaron, can you mute? Yeah. Um, Even before this conflict in Europe, we've been seeing huge fault lines really in the collective consciousness. And I was in my prayers and meditation the last few days, I was asking to see, because I'm very visual, what's causing this? What's really happening? And and this is the big picture of what I saw. Now, I'm not very good at graphics, so, and I've talked about this before. So we've got, I'm going to take my, so we have karma. This is a clockwise cycle that we've been on. And I realize that this is a healing cycle. And we are at this inflection point. I talked about this before, but I understand more now. We're at this inflection point before we turn counterclockwise, which is more an anti-time, outside of time, a more feminine sort of setup than this karmic circle, which is more masculine, more structured. But what I realized in my meditation this morning is that the center of the karma line is, well, let me put this down for a second, that something happened in our collective consciousness where we fell from grace, fell from paradise, where we lost our unerring knowing of oneness, of unity consciousness, and we fractured into our separate identities. And those separate identities then needed to climb out of the darkness in this wheel of karma, healing every time, hopefully, and getting to the level we are now. And now we're at this time where I call it an off-ramp to consciousness, where we can move into this new cycle. But the fracture that we see is we have a choice here. We can plunge back into another cycle of karma, or we can move into what I call the creation spiral. And this is always the picture of infinity. So at this choice point, this is where we get to choose what emotions we feel and what we hook into. Do we make our behavior and all our actions based on the past? Or do we look at the vision we want to create and therefore move into this cycle of the future? So really the question when we get to the consciousness of war is the consciousness of going back again in the cycle of karma. So a couple things to look at so that we don't play a role in exacerbating the ongoing consciousness of war, because if it plays out in the world political scene, it's also playing out in us. And we can't heal the world political scene, but we can heal our consciousness and how we are reacting, and so make a difference that way. So, and you might be asking, why is this happening now? It is not because we've plunged back into the dark wheel of karma. It's because with the more light, as more of us move to this healing side, there's more light to exemplify the shadows. So it's a good thing when we see the darkness emerge, no matter where it is. I was thinking this morning about the Me Too movement. So all of a sudden we shined a light on sexual misconduct and power plays where people in positions of power were abusing that power. Well, that's that old karmic stream. And with the whole Me Too movement, once the light was shown on it, there were a couple choices women or people who were abused could take. They could take, be strong, clear, forgiving, take back their power, move on, take action, be forward focused. Or some of the people weren't able to do that. They were so traumatized and so hurt that they might stay in anger or hurt or victimhood or powerlessness. Those two choices make the difference. Are we moving to this other cycle, or are we going back to the recycled karma again and again? And how you can tell, because we all have some power and forgiveness, and we all have some, for me, we carry both of them. But you can tell if you're more on that power forward focus rather than backward focus look by if you can take action. So in the Me Too movement, people took action. They started the movement. They helped victims. They decided to be different themselves. Well, let's look at the war, or war consciousness, as I call it. So it's caused by the same thing: greed, power, not enough, a need for control, a deep feeling of lack or not being strong enough. So that seed is in all of us. But when it gets carried away and the whole machine, the whole institutions of our world begin to support greed and power and having more, then the fallout of that is the people on the other side, the people who become victims, the people who are attacked. And in that, there's choices, and they're very real. There's fear. Obviously you're afraid. There's anger. There's wanting to regain control of our lives. But even in that, you can see people, like in the Ukraine, you can see people in the middle of the war taking action, showing compassion, showing love, showing strength. That gets us out of this cycle of the consciousness of war. So what we need to look at is, which side are we on? Are we heavier on the fear, anger, helplessness victim in our own lives? Or are we more on the side of action, compassion, love, self-forgiveness, moving on, and action? So action is the key here. And so I was asking myself, what could I say? What could we do today that would help us heal the breakdowns in us? One side is greed, the other side is lack. And so many of us keep falling into lack. I'm not enough. I don't do well enough. I don't have abundance. I'm not on the right path. That's all lack. Well, on this line of greed, power, control, or lack, you'll never get off of it on this line, because healing lack is still saying that there's such a thing as lack. So what we're going to do, and usually on these Facebook Lives, I don't do an actual energy thing, but we're going to. The way to get out of it is to leave the dichotomy or the polarity of abundance, power, powerlessness, and move into that other cycle that I called creation, that counterclockwise, more intuitive cycle. And we're going to do it by a 10-minute soul body fusion. Many of you have read my soul body fusion book, and you know how to do it. And those of you who don't worry, it's intention. Why humanity is broken and our collective consciousness is so dense is that we are working our way back up from forgetting, back into unity consciousness. So soul body fusion really brings that unity consciousness back into our body at greater and greater levels. At first, we can only handle a little bit until our body gets used to those frequencies. Then we bring in more and our body gets used to those frequencies. Then we bring in more and more and more. But every step, our life begins to change. So I propose that we set the intention for our soul, our highest vibration, to come as much as it can with the setup our body has now into our body. And feel free to do soul body fusions later to bring in more and more and more as your body adjusts to these frequencies of liberation, I'll call them. And it's so powerful to do it all together. So I know so many of you are on right now, but whenever you watch this, you're going to join into this field of high consciousness that begins to illuminate us, show us our shadows of lack, show us our fear, our anger, our powerlessness that in the external world turns to war, but we will heal it in us and then radiate it out to all as we begin to shift consciousness. That's really the bottom line here. So I'll have you put your hands palms up to receive. Those of you who understand and know something about soul body fusion, put your hands palms down as if you're giving. It's not really that we're transmitting, but hands up or down, depending how you feel. And I'll talk a little bit, but for 10 minutes, we're going to intend a soul body fusion for the healing of anything that needs healing on this earth, in this world, and especially bringing more peace on our planet. And the intention does it all. Your eyes can be opened or closed. Open to receive your highest self, your most divine beingness. And then let your mind get out of the way. So I want you all to be receiving a soul body fusion. The radiation of it is automatic. The more you bring this frequency into your body, it automatically radiates into the collective, bringing peace and compassion and love. So you concentrate on being your highest divine self embodied. Feel your body. We really become channels or conduits for this light into human consciousness, lifting the entire field. Feel present. Let these energies unwind you, unwind the stuck bits, the old patterns, just creating more space in your life for your divinity. You may feel yourself expanding. Stay grounded. Remember, a grounded electrical cord can carry more power. So, as we sit here, understand that the consciousness of peace is the other side of the consciousness of war. And we are flooding ourselves first in our world and the collective with peace. Can you feel a sense of strength and even more power building in your body? And know that what you're feeling in your body is radiating out into the collective. We are such amazing healers without doing anything. We'll do this soul body fusion about 3 more minutes together. See if you can sit up taller, if you can take up more space, if your body changes its posture right now. All right, I'm going to draw your attention to something that I see. Um, Usually with soul body fusion, I don't have you looking all around the consciousness, but it seems like we opened up this funnel or this gateway or a portal, and I can feel so many world elders, star beings, star elders coming into this portal now. So I'm just saying it in case you can also feel that we just got to reinforcements. That's awesome. As we create these portals to the higher dimensions, they answer, bringing more of that high consciousness into our collective, and we can use the help. Really, in your beingness, feel supported. Feeling that the light is supported, that peace is supported, that you are supported. One more minute. Can you feel your heart expand? And this is radiating, this is going out. So we call it soul body fusion when we look at ourselves individually, but what we're intending now is a higher divine flow into all of the collective consciousness to heal the fractures and to bring peace, prosperity, creation, how it should be on this plane. So thank your heart, thank yourself for being part of this. This soul body fusion can go on and on. Please continue to do it. And what it will do is illuminate where we individually get stuck in this consciousness of war, this fractured darkness, where we get into powerlessness or lack on one side, or greed and trying to control things on the other. Soul body fusion brings you back to the present, and that's where all our power is. And remember, taking action is the difference between that cycling back into karma, because that makes us helpless, or taking this, I'll get my picture again, or moving back into creation. It's this choice and it's action. So I want to tell you a couple things that are coming up. Next Sunday is the equinox. So the winter will be over. And we have our second trilogy in our recreation series. Even if you didn't do the first one, this one's based on the equinox. Please do this one. It's really support. The dark and the light support. But I ask you, and these are on my website, jonettecrowley.com. Please try to do the first one before next Sunday, because the first one sets it all up, trilogy number 1. And then on the, let's see, April 9th and 10th, I'm going to be doing Ignite Your Truth, a Mark weekend, where we're going to look at many things to really empower who we are, but we're going to look at who you are. So we'll look at which of the 7 main soul groups you are in, so you can understand yourself more, clear patterns that are getting in the way of you being that part of your soul, being your true self, and really helping you ignite your truth, but align to your personal potentials. So that'll be a weekend on April 9th and 10th. And I think our early bird price ends on March 18th. So that's this coming Thursday. You all, thank you so much. On the chat, please tell us your experience, not just thank you from wherever you are. Tell us what you felt and what you saw, so that we can really engage in this. Thank you. Our next, we'll have an April update. Thank you for who you are in the world. And let's bring so much light that these clouds of war are just clouds over the light. And please, please, please take action. Write a check. It doesn't matter whether it's $25 to help the refugees or $2,000. Please take some action, no matter how small your income is. Please open the flow and find a way to help the refugees. Thank you. Bless you.